representing your country at a world championship, holding the tricolor high with the national anthem playing in the background. Jana Gana Mana. Yes, it was a moment of great pride. Yes. In 2018, India saw in me its first woman world champion in kettlebell sports. So what made that possible? Was it sheer luck? Was it a power of my vision? Was it some divine intervention? I'd say a lot more. For a girl who weighed about 80 kgs for most of her school life, with absolutely no background in fitness, with never having participated even in March past back in school, forget about a track and field event, a very accomplished practicing chartered accountant by profession, and most importantly, a loving homemaker and a mother to a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old in 2018 and much older now. What made it possible? I'd say, like a four-wheeler car. We all know what would happen to a four-wheeler car if one of the wheels went flat. Likewise, the wheels of my life, I have 4 wheels. First, my professional life. Second, my family life. Third, my social life. And fourth, and the most important, my personal life. I qualified chartered accountancy in 2005 at the very young age of 22. Well, honestly, didn't have much of a choice back then. You know, the kids of the 1980s, framework of life was pretty simple. We ate what we were given. We did what we were told. Gay was just another sophisticated word for being happy, and lesbian was the capital of Portugal. Traveling outside your city for pursuing higher education was considered sacrilege. You couldn't think of stepping outside your city for higher education. I got my first job with the PricewaterhouseCoopers, a very accomplished chartered accountancy firm. And guess what? I did not even know how to boot a laptop. I really did not. Luck had it, my first assignment was with an Australian client. And he wanted me to plot the data on an Excel sheet. You heard it right, MS Excel. For the life of me, I had never even opened an Excel sheet. Forget about working on one. I used to come home teary-eyed every evening, crying my heart out, not knowing what to do. And I called it quits. I left my job, and I did that without a plan B in mind. With the support of my very loving parents, I started my journey into entrepreneurship. I started my practice as a chartered accountant. With the mentorship of my ex-boss, I soon made inroads into courtrooms, into board meetings. And more than often, I would be the only one in courtrooms, and many a times the only women gracing the podiums like you see in the picture. But I did it well. I made it big. I, ever since 2005, have been basking in the glory of being a very successful chartered accountant. Coming back to the wheel of life, my professional life, so that wheel is steady and going, that keeps me very happy. Coming to the second wheel of life, my parents say they did a fine job in raising me, and they also say I did a better job in being their daughter. My husband says he's the proudest husband on earth. And I, for one, I keep being invited to many parenting workshops, not to be in the audience, as a coach. And I think that speaks about my parenting skills. To sum it all up, I have a very steady family life. So the second wheel of my life is nice and steady. Well, with my limited interaction with my friends, my extended family like you, I'm still working on my social life. That's one wheel of life, which is not flat, I would say, but needs a little bit of pumping up. But then, my fourth wheel of life, my personal life. Honestly, as a kid of the 1980s, we were never taught the importance of self-care, emphasizing yourself over others, prioritizing yourself, or to be the best version of yourself. As I said, we were just told what to do, and we followed the way. The turning point in my life, in many, many ways, was 2015 when I became a mother. And I asked myself, what is my mojo? Did I really need one? And I chanced upon this beautiful concept of being in the top 1 percentile. That whatever you do, just it may be whatever, try and be in the top 1 percentile. And when you do that, you achieve a certain sense of mastery on your thoughts. That thoughts gets a certain sense of discipline. And that discipline, my friends, helps you be successful in many other endeavors in life. And believe me, that concept stayed with me. So while I was finding my mojo and also struggling to lose my postpartum weight, I was 12 kgs up, my husband said, why don't you join a gym? Now, a gym, much like the laptop and the Excel sheet, I'd never been to a gym. And let me relate to you a real story. When I first went to the gym and I tried doing a squat, guess what? I tore my pants. Moral of the story, always wear the right fitness gear when you adopt fitness. Nonetheless, I got very lucky. I chanced upon my mentor, my coach, Mr. Arnab Sarkar, who introduced me to the beautiful sport of kettlebell. It all started with the idea of losing postpartum weight, with the pressures of bringing up a small child, with an ever-traveling husband. With the lack of a social support structure, it did become difficult. And again, I called it quits. I remember that bright, sunny morning in 2016 when my coach gives me a call. Tring, tring. Shivani, would you like to train home? I said, yes, sir, why not? And we started building the practice of kettlebell. We practiced and we practiced. And the one thing I promised myself, this time I shall not quit. I may have a crying baby, I may have calls at work, I may be wanted anywhere, but no, this time I shall not quit. And believe me, friends, the only time my phone goes on an aeroplane mode is either when I'm in an aircraft or when I'm training. We did well. I had my first national competition at New Delhi, and my coach tells me, Shivani, you've got to participate at this competition. And I was shitting bricks. More than the fear of lifting bells, I had the fear of convincing my family that a girl had to travel to Delhi, and that too for a sporting event. Now believe me, quod ara demonstratum. I got people furious. But luck had it, I managed my way. Post that, I had many such national competitions, followed by my first international competition at Malaysia. And guess what? My brother was sent as my bodyguard. I'm sure that sounds familiar to many of us here in the audience. And then we started preparing for something big, something really big. And as someone rightly said, you're most satisfied when what you do is in complete sync with who you are. I was started to finding myself. I started my journey to find who was I. 2018, I represented the country. We had more than 25 other countries. And I became India's first woman athlete to get gold. Followed by my second gold at Australia in 2019, and my third hat trick very recently in France, November this year. I did it, and I did it well. And I would not say it was easy. No journey would be so simple, otherwise I would not be worthy of standing on this red dot. Torn palms, a small child crying in the background with a lot of pressures at work. How did I manage it? But when I get to see these, you feel good. It seems that the journey is all worth it. If I was to share the top of my mind recalls, what helped me ace my journey? I would say A, mentorship. B, a sense of being consistent and persistent. Third, and most importantly, sculpting my life with a sense of discipline. Fourth, the support of my parents, my husband, and my son. Mentorship. What can that do to one? And believe me, I say this in all honesty. Everyone sitting in this room needs a mentor. If you found yours, you are lucky. If you haven't, find yours. My mentor taught me, what is the point in living if at least once in your lifetime you don't do something which is remarkable? Winston Churchill adds to the life of a mentor. He says that you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And that's exactly what mentors do. And I completely believe that a good mentorship can be better than a lifetime of education. The second principle, be consistent and persistent. Ever since my first goal, I've followed this mantra, and I truly do, that if you are persistent, you will get it. But if you are consistent, you shall keep it. And believe me, Bruce Lee defines it so well. He says that any short-term intensity will always be triumphed by long-term consistency. So believe me, friends, each one of us here, whatever it is, as long as we are persistent and consistent, life can be very magical. The third principle, sculpting my life with a sense of discipline. So, what is discipline? And Winston Churchill defines it very well. He says that we need not be more remarkable than the others. We need not be more remarkable than the others, but yes, we need to be more disciplined than the others. We need to be more disciplined than the others. So let me relate a small anecdote to you. There was this beautiful museum in France, and a beautiful marble statue and a tile struck a conversation. The tile tells the statue, "Hey statue, why is it that from far and wide, when people come, they bask in your glory. They look at you in awe and they say, 'Oh my God, what a magnificent statue.' But they simply walk past me?" The statue replies, "Hey, but are we not from the same cave?" The tile says, "Yes, and that's exactly what I find more offensive. Why is it that we are treated so differently?" And then the statue reminds the tile that when the sculptor was trying to work his tools on you, you are the one who resisted, and I did not. Likewise, my friends, for me, life, the good and the bad experiences, they have shaped me. And in my story, I chose to be the statue and not the tile. Many a times, we get to hear, behind every successful man, there is a woman. But believe me, in my life, it's the reverse. And I very, very, very proudly say that in my journey, behind the success I have, there's been the contribution of only men and many men. My husband, belonging to a conservative society, wearing a pair of shorts was considered sacrilege. Training with a male coach, oh no, that's not done. And imagine traveling overseas with only male athletes. You become the blackest sheep in society. So, my husband tells me, just go and get gold. And I did that. Believe me, for us as a married couple, it's not easy. For the longest, 18 out of 20 years, we've had a long-distance relationship. It's challenging, and we both are still learning. My son, he's 6 years old. He boots his laptop on his own. He logs in, logs off, submits his homework. He knows, with both parents traveling and basking in the glory of the success, as a family, we are interdependent, yet we are independent. For him, independence is a way of life, not a choice. And believe me, when I say that Sadhguru very rightly coined these words, that when you think of raising your children, don't think of raising them. Just raise yourselves and you see how your children turn out to be. My gynecologist, Dr. Rajiv Agarwal, explained to me it's okay for pregnant women post-pregnancy to lift weights. It's okay for women to lift things other than babies. What was considered as mothers lifting was considered completely no. He gave me the view that mothers can lift. And most importantly, the contribution of my parents. If I look back, I can't, how much ever hard I try, recollect a single bad memory of my childhood. And I think that's a wonderful job done. And what parenting can do is an example before you. So, before I end, I would just like to share a very quick concept. So, many people ask me, Shivani, what are you? Who are you? So I say, I'm a proud homemaker, I'm a proud chartered accountant, and a very proud kettlebell athlete. So they say, how do you find the time? And I always tell them, it's never about having time. It's always about making time. And I follow the simple law of decluttering, the Japanese art of decluttering. When you choose what to keep, ask your heart. When you choose what to store, ask your house. Start tidying up. It seems like a very simple concept that even a 6-year-old can implement, but believe me, it is not. It is not the lack of skill, it's the lack of awareness. Success, 90% is in your mind. And most importantly, know yourself. As the famous Delphic maxim goes, know thyself. I started knowing myself at the ripe age of 35. For someone who's never participated in any sporting event, for representing the country, it was a huge deal, thanks to decluttering, knowing myself, mentorship. As someone rightly said, and I'll end with a small video. This is what kettlebell lifting looks like. That's a 24 kg bell, just a short part of the lifting from the World Championship. And as Harivansh Rai Bachchan rightly says, and can you all join me with that? लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. Thank you so much.